All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we're getting into building confidence and what people do to help hype themselves up and build confidence in themselves before they got to get after it in some way, shape, or form, whether it's an event or a test or a hot date, whatever it is to get your confidence up. We find out from the fans what they do to hype themselves up and to get them motivated and feeling confident about themselves as human beings. All right, so excited for that. Also got some current events, a lot of hot topics to cover this week, a lot of hot topics. I'm already heated just thinking about it. So we'll get into that, plus a Cage fact coming at you right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, the show that talks about nothing and finds the lessons in everything. Thank you guys for tuning back in. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine was decent up until the very moment I'm trying to record. I had issues with the power here at the LPDS compound all day, cutting in and out with the power, ruining recordings, ruining episodes. Powering through it. We still found a way to get it out there to the people. I'm also dealing with a very temperamental dog right now. Randy, for whatever reason, sometimes he just doesn't want to eat to the point where he gets sick. And then I got to deal with that. So right now we're dealing with that phase. And I'm just waiting any moment now he's going to go probably throw up or something just to keep his six pack, I guess. Anyway. That's how we're starting the week off here for you guys. Let's just tune it in for the week. Whenever you're tuning in, I don't know. I'm losing it here. It's late at night, trying to make this happen. So we'll just get right into it. I'm already hot as it is, so we might as well just get right into the current events and get those over with, so we can get to the good stuff. We're talking about how to build confidence in yourselves, what people do to hype themselves up to build that confidence inside. All that is going to be in the Junction coming up. But first, we got to talk about the Air Force hitman wannabe. And I'm pretty sure I didn't cover this last episode. The last episode, we talked about the other Air Force dweeb that got caught leaking Pentagon files or whatever. So that's great. And other Air Force news, we got more too, not just this one. This kid in the Air National Guard, he was an airman, which is like a lower rank enlisted type. I don't know how old he was, to 18, 20, 21, whatever. He got caught in a sting operation. I think it was run by the FBI, trying to become a hitman. And he did this by going to, I think the website was like hireahitman.com. And he started filling out the application, got in touch with somebody there who said that they were hiring for a hit. And it happened to be an FBI agent undercover. And he got busted for it. They worked out a deal for the money, and then they were going to go meet to do the hit. He was going to go to the place to do the hit, and it ended up being a sting, and he got busted for it. Now, here's what's crazy. First of all, hireahitman.com, or whatever the name of the website was, is practically saying, we're the cops. We're the FBI. It's like saying, I'm not a drug dealer, I'm not a cop.com. It's you're a cop. So the fact that this kid went and did that and thought everything was hunky-dory, and that there's an actual website on regular internet, not even the dark web, to go become a hitman is ludicrous to me. I don't know. The recruiting in the military has clearly gone so far down, they're willing to pick anybody to sign up because nobody wants to join anymore. And this is what you get. You get guys who go to hireahitman.com and think he's going to go be a hitman off the internets, the regular internets, not the dark webs. The second funny thing is that apparently the undercover FBI agent even gave him multiple, chances to get out of it and not do it. He even said, hey, man, you shouldn't be doing this. You have a wife, a kid, maybe a kid on the way or whatever, a career in the military. You're a military man. Why are you doing this? This is not what you should be doing. And he gave him the outs and outs. Now, you can argue that, and they've done this with terrorists in the past, back when we were doing the whole Patriot Act and trapping people into being bad guys. You can argue that, the FBI is creating this opportunity for somebody and then talking them into doing it, and then when they go and do it, they bust them for it. But this apparently is not the case. This undercover FBI agent was very clear in the transcripts that you see on the chats or whatever, that he was telling this kid not to do it, shouldn't do it, and the kid insisted anyway. He's like, all right, go here. This is where the hit is, and he goes there and he gets busted. So that's the Air Force this week. We'll move over to the Army real quick for all you guys there. And I think it was the Secretary of the Army. It was one of the high-ranking positions, maybe the chief of staff of the Army. I don't know. She was a top-tier appointed official in the Army, and she did like an inspection, or she did a visit for several of the Army barracks around the country. And she came to the conclusion, or she determined, that they were unfit to be lived in. As if nobody knew that. Nobody in the Army already knew that. It's been an ongoing issue for over a decade that the Army barracks for single soldiers, young enlisted soldiers who just joined the Army, have to go and live in this barracks, like a dorm room essentially, on base, on post, and they're filthy. They're condemned building. They're disgusting. They have infestations of rats and bats and bugs and mold. They're unlivable buildings, and they've been like that for a decade. And this lady finally went and actually looked at them, and she's like, this is disgusting. I wouldn't let my daughter live in here if she joined the Army, so we got to do something about it. And I hope they do something about it, but it's about time. Like, why did it take this long for a top decision maker in the Army to go out and realize all these complaints were valid? People were bitching about this for over a decade, since before I got in. It was just a known fact. Army barracks are garbage. In fact, I was stationed at a certain post. It was an Army base, and we had our Air Force airmen, our enlisted guys, staying at the dorms there because that's all we had. It was an Army base. We had to stay at Army accommodations. That building was a condemned building that they reopened to make room for us in the Air Force. Not me, us, but the Air Force in general. And the building had an endangered species of bats living in the building. That was their bat cave. And they couldn't eradicate the bats because they were an endangered species. So every time a bat set up shop in somebody else's room, instead of getting rid of the bat, they just made the person move rooms. And they just cordoned off a hallway of the dorms, of the barracks, until the whole thing was overtaken by bats. That's what we're dealing with. Easy, Randy, over there behind screen. That's what they were dealing with. So hopefully something gets done. It's about damn time. We'll see what happens. Now, back to the Air Force. And some of these articles were sent to me by the Bradley Blotter. Some were sent by other folks. So thank you guys for the submissions. These are all fantastic and sad and laughable and embarrassing all at the same time. So thank you for that. Army Air Force JAG officer, Judge Advocate General, which is a lawyer in the Air Force, in the military in general, but in the Air Force, an Air Force JAG. He's a lieutenant colonel, 05, if you know military rankings. That's higher up on the officer chain. You go lieutenant colonel, then up to colonel, and then general. So you're pretty high up there. I'm a major. I'm right below lieutenant colonel, so I'm middle of the road, a nobody. A busybody, a desk jockey. So anyway, this JAG, this attorney in the military at the base he was stationed, I think it was in Hawaii, he was one of the attorneys in charge of dealing with all the cases of child sex predators. Okay? And you can see where this is going. If you put on your thinking caps, see where this one's going. So his entire job was centered around prosecuting pedophiles in the military. All right. Fast forward to this past week, this guy got busted in a sting operation trying to have sex with a 14-year-old girl in the barracks at the base there. Busted. He was the one putting them in prison, and he was doing it to himself the whole time. It was like the perfect crime almost. And that's what we're dealing with in the military these days. Okay, I guess it was another sting operation. I don't know who it was. Probably the Air Force's version of the FBI, the OSI, Office of Special Investigations. Thought he was talking to a 14-year-old girl in the dorms, telling her how he likes teaching young girls to do sex, and he's been with younger, or not younger, but been with other girls around that age, and he loves teaching and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes over to the dorms to meet with them, and boom, pedophile busted. All right, I had to take a quick break to go handle Randy business as predicted. But anyway, this guy gets busted doing pedophile stuff or trying to do pedophile stuff. And who knows how many young girls he already did have statutory rape with and assault because of that. Okay, so again, this is what we're dealing with, and it's not fun these days having these. They're the criminals prosecuting other criminals. And it's not just the military. It's going on all over the place. All over the place, you have district attorneys and prosecutors and public defenders who are the criminals themselves defending and prosecuting other criminals like they're doing nothing wrong. It's a big reason, if you want to go tinfoil hatty on this one, it's the big reason why none of the customers in the Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell child pedo sex ring have been prosecuted or charged. It's because they're the customers, most of them. Okay? And again, that sounds crazy. You put the tinfoil hat on and you're a nut job and you don't know what you're talking about. That's why. Okay? Years down the road, we're going to see this all come out eventually. Maybe we'll still be alive. Maybe it'll be after like the JFK files. It'll be long after we're all dead. But you're going to see it. Maybe your kids will see it. And you'll come back and do the rewind in your brain and be like, damn, the LPDS knew this entire time. All these big wigs in politics and Hollywood and the media and the Justice Department all were the ones doing the child sex. Anyway, this guy gets busted. He's a hypocrite. He's disgusting, and hopefully he gets what's coming to him. Hopefully what they should do is go send them over to Florida and prosecute him there, because they just pushed a bill that they want to institute the death penalty for child rapists. And say what you want about the death penalty and say what you want about Florida. The idea of them actually doing something more towards child rapists, I'm on board for. I don't necessarily agree with the death penalty in general or specifically, but the fact that they want to increase the penalty for child rapists when there are other states in this country that are decreasing the penalties and making it misdemeanors, so these people are out walking months after they get busted raping children. I'll side with Florida on this one. And you can call me a nut job and a fascist and a hillbilly, whatever you guys call people from Florida with your generalizations. I'll take that all day if it means I'm not on board with letting child rapists walk free. Anyway, off the soapbox on that. Back on another one. While we're talking about quote-unquote news, Fox News just settled a lawsuit with Dominion, the voting computer how you doings, because they were sued for defamation, for talking smack about the voter fraud and all that stuff, and they settled for like $800 million, $750 million or whatever. Now, to me, this is not a big story. I'll tell you why in a second. But you're hearing about it all over the place because we're talking teams here. And Team CNN and Team MSNBC and all the losers and idiots that are diehard team members and fly those flags are all happy about this and saying, see, we don't, we never got sued for this. You say that we're the bad guys and they're the Fox News guys are the bad guys. Newsflash for everybody. Real newsflash. They're all the bad guys. Okay? We've talked about this in the past, but a little refresher for you. These news agencies, quote unquote, are owned by entertainment media companies. Okay? Fox has their Fox Entertainment Corporation that runs Fox News. CNN is owned by Warner Brothers. And then MSNBC is like owned by Comcast or vice versa, one or the other. One is owned by Warner Brothers and one is owned by Comcast. So cable and then Warner Brothers, the big movie blockbuster, how you doing company. All right? And they say news in their title, but in the fine print all the way down at the bottom of their little company write-ups and what they are, they're under the entertainment umbrella, which means they don't have to give you real news at all. Okay? They're a for-profit business, and as for-profit businesses do, they say things and do things that are going to get them the most money. They all do it. I hate to break it to the Fox Newsies out there who are defending them to the death. All these other guys do it too, and this and that. It's not that big a deal, and they weren't lying, blah, blah, blah. Fox News does it. Sorry. All the CNN weenies that are out there celebrating in the streets because Fox News got busted, CNN does it too. In fact, they got sued as well. But you didn't hear it on CNN because, of course, they're not going to talk about when they get sued. They got sued by Trump last year for $250 million. I don't know if that's still ongoing or not. Say what you will about the credibility of that lawsuit. They're still getting sued. They sell a suit for millions and millions of dollars to that Sandman kid. And if you don't remember that story, that was like 2016, 2017, whenever it was. Him and his class were like touring Washington, D.C., and he happened to be wearing a MAGA hat. He's a kid, by the way. Let's caveat this real quick. And he's a kid, a high school kid. And CNN said made him out to be this abusive, racially insensitive, fascist Nazi Trump supporter who's out there in D.C. harassing Native Americans out there. And they show like a 6-second clip of a video, and you look at the whole video and you realize he was getting harassed by a bunch of adults. And I think some of them, I don't know if they were drunk or inebriated in some way, drugs or whatever it was, but he was getting assaulted, and he was just standing there like a scared kid, a teenage kid, not even an adult yet, getting worn out by these adults. And then CNN dragged him through the mud, and he eventually sued and won that case. That was several $1 million, maybe up to $60 million. I forgot. It was a big one for a kid, to get. Not in the grand scheme of things. MSNBC also got sued for defamation back in like 2020 or something like that as well for similar circumstances. So here's the big thing, okay? If you're sitting there defending Fox News to the death that they shouldn't have done this, they didn't do anything wrong, and they didn't lose the suit, they just settled out of court, and it's not a big deal, you're a dope, or your thoughts are dopey. I'll call it that. Your thoughts are dopey, and you're drinking a little bit too much of the Fox News Kool-Aid, thinking that they're above reproach and that they're actually putting out news. And if you're one of the CNN and MSNBC geeks that's out there celebrating in the streets, laughing at Fox News lovers and saying your team stinks and our team is better than yours, you guys are losers too. CNN and MSNBC also lie and also get busted lying and get sued for it. Okay? And it goes all the way back to what we talked about in the past, is that they're for-profit businesses and they're going to say whatever they need to get viewers. Okay? Their money is made off of viewership, not off of correct reporting of what's going on in the world and the country. Okay? So let's stop celebrating in the streets that a news organization, these guys suck, and we're going to celebrate and say, told you so. See, you guys suck, and we're right because we follow these guys. No, we're all wrong. We're all suckers. Okay? They've been playing us for years, and we've let it get so bad that this is what it's come to, that people are celebrating on social media and saying, oh, I can't believe this is going on. This is laughable. This is embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. It's going on all over the place. There is no public television news outlet, cable news network, whatever you want, 24-hour news, whatever they call themselves. None of them are doing the right thing. None of them are. And it's disheartening and it's sad that it's come to this where they create this divide of teams. We're all the same team, guys. We're all citizens of this country. Okay? And the sooner we figure that out and that we're being played, the sooner we could get to fixing things. And it's getting so tired. The same thing that happens every time something like this happens, you get the two sides that are being pushed out on social media and TV to get us infighting and going after each other's throats while the fat cats are sitting back and collecting the paychecks on it. And it's just so tired and annoying because you see people that are otherwise smart, intelligent, highly capable, mature individuals falling for this like suckers, posting about it, talking about it like we're on the same team, guys. Okay? So you're celebrating a loss on our own team. That's what you're doing. Snap out of it. Sharon needs to slap us all on the upside of the head and tell us to snap out of it. So that's that in the media crap. Last current event I'll get to. This is another one. This is not really important news, but it's funny because it got super popular. There was this was he a pitcher? Something Bass, Anthony Bass. He's a professional athlete. I don't know if he's a pitcher or a football. I forgot. He's not that important as far as elite athletes go because I don't remember anything about him. And if he plays baseball, that's how unknown he is to me because I actually watch baseball. He posted on Twitter that United Airlines dicked around with his wife. Apparently his wife and two kids, and she's pregnant, so 2.5 kids, I guess, were flying on a United, and they made a mess. And they said this guy, he was all up in Twitter calling out United, saying that the flight attendant was rude and forced them to clean up the mess of popcorn that they left. So here's what happened. They're on this flight. She's very pregnant, 20-something weeks pregnant, and she's got her two kids with her. That's just the three of them on this United flight. And they were given popcorn by the flight attendants for the kids. The kids made a mess. One is 7. One is old enough to be playing video games because that's what he was doing, playing video games. And then the other was super young, I guess. And they made a mess with the popcorn, and they were asked to clean up the mess. That's what I meant to say. And he made it sound like he said that the flight attendant came over, threw a garbage bag at the wife, and said, "You're not leaving until this mess is cleaned up." And everyone went into a rage about it, and they deep dove into what they think really happened and why isn't this woman flying with another person if she's pregnant plus 2 kids and you're out playing baseball or sitting on the bench or doing whatever you're doing that you can't fly with her. Why didn't you get a nanny or someone to help out or somebody, a friend, whatever? You're a rich super athlete. Figure that out. And then there's other people saying, well, United sucks, so I'm not surprised about this, and I'm sure they're like this. Here's the thing. There's probably a middle ground, okay? And like we do here at the LPDS, we like to take the step back and try to get both sides of the story, of all sides of the story, because we haven't heard from United at all about this yet. What probably happened was you have a flight attendant who may or may not have been good at their job or proficient or super patient or whatever, and she's got this lady and her kids messing up the place. Now, everybody makes a mess on the plane. We talk about airplane etiquette constantly and how it's gone these days with adults, grown adults. So I wouldn't be surprised if the whole plane was a disaster. I also wouldn't be surprised that this flight attendant had to deal with multiple idiots throughout the flight and her patience was gone. So even if this person's wife was not rude or a problem, maybe this lady lost her patience with the guy ahead of her and took it out on her. If that's the case, she should apologize, blah, blah, whatever. But likely what probably happened was that this lady and her kids were causing trouble the whole flight, And finally, at the end of it all, the flight attendant was like, you got to clean up this mess. We're tired of dealing with you this entire time. This is usually how it goes. The passenger, I was going to say customer, the passenger causes enough problems where the flight attendants get fed up because they don't get paid enough to do any of that crap. They also don't get paid to clean up that stuff. That's not their job, technically speaking. And if you make a mess, you clean it up. And if you have a kid old enough to play video games and know how to play on Nintendo Switch, they also know how to pick up their own popcorn and their own mess. That's the prime time when you teach your kids to do that. And I'm not a parent, but you can ask any self-respecting parent. They'll tell you the same thing. If my nephew left a mess like that, he'd be picking it up on his hands and knees, picking up popcorn kernels as well. So there's a middle ground. This guy made it out to seem like United is the devil and that his wife is a saint. Probably not totally the case. She's probably not a devil herself, but middle ground. Everyone was up in arms about it. I thought it was funny. And this is the kind of news I'd rather listen to and hear about because at least it's not people going at each other's throats on the same team until we all kill each other. So there you go. I think I hit all the current events. If I missed something from the past week, I apologize. There was just so much going on, it fell off my radar. So now, with that, we'll get into the good stuff. Step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Valentino's Vespas. Are you looking for a rad new method to get to the Gastro Fusion pub for brunch with the boys because roller skates just aren't trendy anymore? Then you need to get a Valentino Vespa today. From new to uncertified pre-owned off the back of a truck, Valentino has any color and style Vespa you can imagine that'll make people turn their heads and hoist up rainbow flags in celebration. So whether you're going to work or cruising with your sorority sister down Skyline Drive on a Saturday afternoon, do it on a Valentino's Vespa today by visiting www.heterohotwheels.com and use the promo code Scootin' and Tootin' for 29% off your first Vespa. I got nothing to say about that. What I do have something to say about that real quick while we're talking about sponsors and sponsorships, the LPDS has seemed to have taken a step back in its quest for a real sponsor. As some of you know, if you listen on iTunes or Spotify on the podcast side of the house, there was an ad for Anchor FM that I did a read for, and I was getting pennies for. Well, Anchor FM, I guess, was taken over by Spotify, and they combined forces, and Spotify changed the requirements, and now you have to meet a certain criteria to be eligible for those ad reads. So they froze the money I had. I think I had 60 total bucks in 3 years in there. And to be eligible, to meet the threshold for that ad to be added in there again, I have to have at least 100 listeners, 60 listeners every 100 days. And I forgot what else, at least 60 hours of content out there or something like that. So I meet one criteria. I do not have 60 listeners in 100 days. I know that may surprise some of you, but we are not as popular on iTunes and Spotify as some may think. So we're not going to be getting a real sponsor anytime soon, but that's okay. We'll get creative with it. Now, the Cage fact. There's a bunch of other facts that I wanted to give about Renfield, but I don't want to beat that dead horse, so I'll talk about Renfield in a future time because there's more facts to that since that movie just came out. But for the movie Pig, which is a great movie, I talked about it a couple years ago when it came out. Tremendous movie. Nic Cage starred in. He was a renowned chef at the time. And for this movie, they hired a chef consultant to come in and teach and train Nic Cage how to cook. And it was extravagant dishes and this and that. And it went all the way down to micro level of detail. Micro detail. I don't know if that makes sense, but to the point where the chef consultant said that he was teaching Nic Cage how to pull these specific type of mushrooms out of the ground in the woods and how to smell what chefs look for and smell how they smell it to get the scent they want to see if it's good. What he also said, was I thought was pretty funny, was that most of the stuff that chef consultants put out there for actors and stuff is bullshit. And they do it for the entertainment purposes and to give them a little bit of extra things to do for the movie, because chef stuff is not nearly as dramatic and event-filled as it is in the movies. Shocker. So they kind of go off the cuff with their training and consulting with the actors, and he told Nic Cage, like, it's not real, but this is what you smell for when you smell these types of mushrooms. So if you want to do that in the woods, go for it. And Nic Cage did that in the woods, and he went for it. So, but it was funny that he got trained on fake chefery, and then he nailed it, as he always does. So that's the Cage fact. You're welcome. Moving on over into the Junction. Finally, the good stuff. Spin the logo up. Talking about how to build confidence. Tips and tricks, things that you do internally to yourself or at home or wherever to hype yourself up before an event. I wanted to find out what people are doing to get to that level of confidence where they can go out there and get things done. Whatever it is that they had to do, get it done. Whether it's a race, sporting event, a play, an actor in a play, a theater, did I say test already? Yeah, a test again, going on a hot date, with a hot babe or a hunky guy. You want to build out that confidence before you go out there, so you're not too nervous and you act natural and you show who you really are. So I was curious to see what people were doing for that, and we got some pretty good feedbacks here. No hotlines, although I got a text message to the hotline with some feedback, so I was appreciated. So we're getting there. Baby steps back to using the hotline, I guess. So here we go. We're just jumping right into it. The first person here said that they like to listen to either like inspirational, how you doing, speeches, or like pump up music. They didn't say what kind of pump up music they listen to, or whose speeches they put on the YouTubes to get them pumped up and ready. And feeling good about themselves, but that's what they do because those sort of things speak to people. And I agree with that. Whatever they are, they're different for each person, and everyone has their own taste in music and what inspires them. But when you feel pumped up and you're motivated in that regard, you feel better about yourself, and you get sort of like, it's almost, I don't know if it is, it might be like a chemical change in your body that surges through you and makes you feel a little bit more brave in that moment and more confident in your abilities. So that's what that person does. So thank you for that. This next person here, this is an interesting one. What they said was they take sort of an LPDS step back. They didn't use that. I'm not gonna pretend that they said that, but they said they take a step back and whenever they're nervous about something or they're feeling not confident in their abilities, or being able to do something in particular, they take the step back and they think about the worst thing that has ever happened to them in their lives, that they ever had to endure, and how they got through it, and the fact that they got through it. And they start to realize that this thing right here in front of them is not the worst thing that's ever happened to them. So they will get through this as well. And they'll be able to knock it out of the park. They feel a little bit better about themselves to the point where they can go and take care of business, whatever that business may be. So that was a good one. I like that one a lot. And it makes sense. And we talk about that all the time, being introspective, taking the step back, thinking about those things in your lives that you overcame. And it makes you more confident in yourself. So thank you for that. Moving on over to the next one here. This person, first they said they lie to themselves. They look in the mirror every day and say, you're going to do just fine today. And I know this person, this is a joke that we always had when we were stationed together up in South Dakota, working shift work, midnight shifts in the middle of the winter, trapped in snow blizzards and what have yous. miserable up there in the wintertime. And we always used to say, you just got to lie to yourself every day and say, every day is going to be okay. Everything is going to be just fine. And then to the point where you trick yourselves thinking it's going to be okay and you're good to go. It's a mental game. That's what all this is. It's all mental. But he did give a serious one. He said what he likes to do, him and his wife like to do, is they'll pop on the Pride scene in Cool Runnings. Now, if you don't remember that scene, it is the one dude. Cool Runnings is the movie about the Jamaican bobsled team with John Candy. He's the coach, and the 4 Jamaican bobsled how you doing. There's the one scene where this guy is looking in the mirror and he's looking all disheveled and feeble and meek and not confident in himself. And his partner in crime comes in and he starts giving him this speech about, what do you see in that mirror? And he's like, I see whatever his name is. I forgot his name. Petrie. I don't know. Made that up. And he's like, no, I see pride. I see a bad mother who's going to go out there and nothing's going to get in my way, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps re-saying it and re-telling it to himself in the mirror. And he starts screaming. And he gets all pumped up and he goes storming out of the room in confidence. Good scene. Definitely pumps you up, and it works for this guy too. So thank you for that feedback here. All right, next one. And by the way, if you're in YouTube land, I'm looking at my notes on the computer, so I'm kind of looking down. Also, when I look up at the camera, I got the ring light, and I have my blue light glasses on, so it kind of like, it shines in the glasses, so you can't really see my eyes too well. Also, it shines through the glasses and, is a little bit more magnified in my eyeball, so I'm trying not to look directly at the light, because you're not supposed to do that anyway. That's kind of a stupid thing to do, is look directly at light bulbs in the sun and what have you. So I'm looking down a little bit more than usual. Anyway, this person here, she said she likes to get a good pump session in the gym, because after it's all said and done, like we say in the big 3, when you get done with an exercise session, you get the endorphins and the chemicals surging throughout your body that make you feel good. That dopamine hit, the endorphin, everything. It's all in there. And you feel good. You feel confident in yourself. So when she's feeling a little bit unsure or uncertain about her abilities or whatever she's got to do, she goes and hits the gym, fires off a quick pump, and then she's back in business. And I love that, because now you're checking off the box in the big 3 to become a better, happier, more positive human being, healthier, everything. So good on you for that. Thank you for that feedback. All right, the next person here, I think this is a joke. We'll call it, I hope it's a joke. This person said, I just stay hyped so I don't have to go get re-hyped again. So if you're always hyped up and confident and ready to go, you don't have to try to get hyped, because you're already there all the time. And yeah, technically speaking, on paper, that is correct. That is true. But in reality, that's not how it works. And I don't believe this person for a second, but thank you for the input there. This next person here, what am I looking at here? Oh, the PMA. Okay, so this next person here put PMA, positive mental attitude. And I love that too, because, and they dug a little deeper on their explanation of how they specifically get in the right positive mental attitude through their therapy sessions and rehab and the different things they do internally at their houses, whatever. But it goes back to what we were saying earlier with another feedback. It's a mental thing. And if you're constantly actively thinking in a positive light about everything, the things around you, your experiences, yourself especially, and your abilities, you're eventually going to get that muscle memory, more so than not, thinking positively. And when you have a positive attitude, you'll start to perform more positively and you'll feel better about yourself overall. So that's what this person tries to do. They try to keep the PMA so that they can feel confident all the time, or as often as possible. And I really enjoy that one. So thank you. This person here said they set a stretch goal and crush it. Now, they weren't able to elaborate too much, in the comments for whatever reason, but I believe a stretch goal is what they're referring to in this instance anyway, is their, how you doing? What am I thinking of here? Like a short-term goal, something that they know that they can attain, so they can check the box of attaining a goal for the day, crushing that goal, and they'll feel better about themselves. And that's another big thing why people tell you to make lists for your day of things to do, of tasks, so that when you knock them out and get them done, now you visually see in front of your face things that you accomplished in the day. And that reminds your brain to realize that you have accomplished something today. You were a success today. You knocked out all these things and you feel better about yourself. And it goes right back to the muscle memory, getting back into the good mindset of it all. So thank you for that. You'll have to explain to me what you meant by stretch goal. I hope I didn't butcher that out. Maybe you were thinking about literally stretching. Maybe you like to stretch. You think of a goal to stretch and get flexible. Maybe that was it. But thank you for the feedback. All right, moving on. This next person here said they like to make bad decisions. Go out, drink, and hit the casino, do hood rat things. And I want this to be a joke, but I know this person who submitted this, and I know, at least in the past, it was not a joke. I know since then they've grown and matured and they don't do that stuff anymore, but it's funny to see that they said that because I know they used to do that back in the day, and that's great. Good for them. Moving on. Next one here. This person said that they like to take a nap. And it's not just like I like to go be lazy and sleep. It's I like to reset my brain. Because it's very difficult, and this is why we talk about it so often, of retraining our brain to get to the right mindset, because it's very difficult to do that. The negative thoughts and emotions and things fill our brains and drown us in it a lot. And it's tough to swim out of that. So sometimes that's why people say, like, when you got an idea, you don't know if it's a good idea or whatever, they say, sleep on it. It helps you refresh, recharge the batteries, reset the brain so it's thinking clearly again. And then you'll feel a little bit more confident in whatever you have to do. So that's why this person likes to take a nap, and that's a great one. Because it's not just about sleeping and laying down and doing nothing. There's a purpose behind it, and it's awesome. All right, moving on. We're going right down this list here, trying to make it all business so you guys can get to being confident again. This person here said that they always try to remember their why, their vision, their reason for doing what they do in life, their big why overall, whether it's their family and kids, supporting their family and kids, having a good, successful, happy life, whatever that is. They constantly remember that why every time they have to do something, whether it's new or old. And that goes back again to retraining the brain. And that's is why, and I talked about this with a friend recently, this is why people do the vision boards. This is why it's popularized. Hello. And people tell you to put stuff up on a vision board. And that's why the book The Secret was so big, even though that book was mostly malarkey. It was about a vision board, and it pretty much told you could sit back and let the universe take care of it from there, when in reality, it wanted you to go do something about it. But the idea behind a vision board is you put your stuff up so you visually see it, just like the task list, and you can visibly see your goals, your why. Maybe you have a picture of your family up, and you see every day you wake up, you see this board, and it makes you actively start thinking about it again. Oh yeah, that's I wake up and here's my why. It's right there, literally in front of my face. And by visually seeing it activates the brain to thinking about it. And it retrains the brain and gets the muscle memory thinking about it. And then you go out and do those things to accomplish those goals. And that's why vision boards are so successful when you do them right, because it gets you into the mindset, that discipline of getting things done to attain goals. And remembering your why is a big aspect of that. And that's that person's vision board, essentially, is their why. So thank you for that. That's a good one. Sitting back and waiting for the universe to do it is not going to work. I'm sorry for everybody who thought that. Not the way it works here. Okay, this person here said that they like to have a reset day. So similar to the nap person, this person likes to have a reset day, except it's not sleeping so much as it is going out and doing some relaxing things, a manicure, pedicure, which is a nightmare for me, but good for them, I guess. They also like to do things around the house, like getting things done around the house, like doing laundry, cleaning up, organizing things so that their shit's all together and looking nice. And when they see that finished product, they feel good about it. Everything is neat and in order, and they are feeling a little bit better about themselves and more confident. That's their reset day that gets them going so that they can feel like they can take on the world. And that's another cool one. I don't know if doing laundry would do that for me, but I do know sometimes I like to shut my brain off and just have a relaxing day doing nothing to hit the reset button on the thoughts and critical analyses and the LPDS step backs. So got it. I get you. All right. This person here. Oh, I said this one already. Remember your why. I just said that. So I think that's all we got as far as people's feedback. So I appreciate that. I have some similar stuff I do for the same reasons. I do some flexing in the mirror because it sees that I actually do have muscles. You can't see them most of the time, but if I do enough flexing, you can see them, on the screen. If you're looking at YouTube land, this is a half a muscle. And then if I do it enough in the mirror, I can eventually see it or convince myself I got muscles and I feel good about myself. I'll do the pec dance. I don't know if you can see it in the LPDS shirt, but the Terry Crews pec dance, not a lot of people can do that. So knowing that I could do that, that gets me all pumped up and jacked up and ready to rock and roll for the day, whether I'm going to meet, a gal on a date or a hunky guy, and I want to impress them with my muscles and my machismo. I'll go and flex in the mirror a little bit to get ready for that. I also do like the speeches. I'm a little bit different. Sometimes I like the inspirational speeches. There are guys like Jocko Willink. I talk about him all the time. I love that dude and everything that he's working towards. And I like to model a lot of what I do around his teachings and lessons. He has a lot of motivational speeches, and they're not motivational in the sense that he's a motivational speaker. He's just a motivating guy, and he's almost inadvertently motivating people by just the way he talks and the conviction and authenticity that he has in his voice when he speaks. So I like listening to him. And I also like listening to animals like David Goggins, who are out there telling you that you're soft and weak and you need to be doing more, and realizing that your body and your mind could take on much more than you think it can. And it's so much more capable than that. And to stop being a little bitch about it and get out there and get after it. And you'll see how capable you really are. And I like doing that. And then, of course, the big thing I do is if I'm at the gym at my own home gym, the Slaughterhouse, I always usually do it. If I'm at the gym outside in public, I don't listen to music. Or if I'm running, I don't listen to music. The earbuds don't work for me. They hurt my ears. They always stick out and they always fall out. So I end up just getting stuck talking to myself when I'm out there. But in my home gym, I'll put on the Rocky soundtrack. Not the Rocky movies, because if I watch the Rocky movies, I'm not going to work out and I'm going to get sad and cry when Mickey dies or when Apollo dies or whatever. But the Rocky soundtrack, that thing hits. I don't know what the kids say, that slaps. It's fire. Whatever it is, it does it for me. Okay, the Rocky soundtrack, I have it on repeat. It's one of the only playlists I have on Spotify is that. And I just have it on repeat. So if I'm working out for like an hour and a half and there's only an hour of music on there, that's recycling and starting over. That's all I'll listen to. I listen to it all day, every day to get pumped up and making myself feel good about things and about my abilities. So, and I think that's all we got today, guys. So listen, I don't know what the time on this. I don't have the watch to see how long this episode was, but go back and listen to these submissions. Okay. Think about them seriously. Some of them are funny and jokey and we have a good time here. We always do, but they all have a very common theme behind them. Okay. It's about adjusting your mindset. Okay. Confidence in yourself is a mindset thing. It's a brain thing. Okay. Most of you, if not all of you listening, are 100% capable of doing anything you set your mind to. All of you are. And we get into our feelings, into our doubts and insecurities when we're jumping into a new pool, because the unknown is a scary place. Fear of the unknown. It's a common saying because it's a real thing. And that's why people most of the time stay in their comfort zone, the devil they know, because it's the devil they know. They know what to expect there. It's comfortable. They've been there before. They know how to navigate through it, even if it's a shitty situation. So the unknown is scary because we don't know what could be out there. And you get fixated on the negative side of that. We're like, well, what if it's bad? What if it's worse than it is here, where I'm at in my comfort zone? And they forget that most of the time, it's better. And you got to ask yourself that question. What if it's better over there? And there's always going to be those naysayers. Oh, the grass is always greener. You know that's saying blah, blah, blah. You know, just stay in your comfort zone because you never know. What if it's better? The unknown, behind the curtain, behind this camera and this ring light. What's going on back there? I want to find out. And I'm confident enough to know that I'm going to be able to get through it. And we had to just adjust our minds and create that muscle memory of positive thinking and understanding, recharging our brain, whatever we got to do to get there so that we can be confident knowing that we'll make it through the unknown. We'll make it to the other side A-okay. And more times than not, we're going to go above and beyond A-okay, and we're going to be even better than fine. So go back and listen to these, see the common theme, and internalize that. Be a little introspective sometimes. Take the second to actively think about this stuff so that you can retrain your brain to be more confident in yourself more often throughout your lives. That's all I got today. All right. Real quick business update for you guys, for all those interested. The LLC is complete. The EIN is complete. I forgot what that stands for, but it's a number saying you're a business. You can go get business accounts and what have you. The name of the business, for those of you who want to follow it on social medias and check out the website when it's up and running, Spearhead Leadership. Okay, I'm not going to get into the details why I named it that right now, but I will at a future episode if you want, or you can hit me up. Maybe I'll put it out there somewhere. I'll probably put it on the Spearhead website and the social media eventually as well, because I want to put the backstory behind it all so that people know where we came from. But Spearhead Leadership, follow us on Instagram. It's _ Spearhead Leadership. And there are more things to come there. The website's almost done. The community page is almost done. The payment processing is almost set up, and we'll be in business soon enough. And ask me about it. Ask me about it offline. I don't want to bore you guys here right now about it, because that's not what you guys are listening for on this particular venue. So ask me about it. I'll be more than happy to talk about it offline with you guys. But that's the update for that. Before we go, though, we got the big three. All right. We discussed it a little bit, earlier today, but for those of you not following, the big three are the three pillars of the LPDS to staying strong and working to become a better, happier, more positive, healthier human being and spreading that goodness of positivity and health and wealth and love throughout. Number one, exercise every day. Easiest thing to do, go for a walk after a meal, get the body moving, calories burning, and chemicals surging through your body so you can be healthier physically, mentally, and emotionally. Number two, don't be a shitty person, be a good person. And that's as simple as seeing an opportunity to be an asshole to somebody or to post something that you know is going to get people angry and charged up on social media and just not doing it. Okay? Separating your emotions from your brain and not posting something shitty or negative on somebody's wall or posting on your story something that's going to cause division and chaos and anger throughout. Regardless of your reasoning, whether you're right or wrong, it doesn't matter. But identifying those opportunities and taking the necessary inaction to not be a shitty person and not add to the negativity and shittiness in the world today, in society. Okay? And if you get out of that habit of being a shit poster or being mean to somebody and dehumanizing them, you're gonna quickly see that your life internally your own life is going to be a little bit more positive each and every day, to the point where you're not even going to care about what's going on with this person anymore. You don't even want to gossip about them because you're just like, I'm too busy enjoying my life and focusing on my happiness and the happiness of the important people around me. That's what we want to get to. Number 3, the most important one to help get us there, is being genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good we have in our lives. Taking the time each day to actively think about one thing each day that's good in your life, and what your life would be like without that thing or that experience or that person, whatever it is. And it's going to make you a little bit more grateful for having that in your life and for having all the other good stuff in your life. And again, retraining your brain to living in a more positive light, a more grateful light, focusing on your happiness, being kind to others, helping them in their journey to their happiness. And you'll see the negative crap, the lack of health, emotionally, mentally, physically, it's going to start fading away. Slowly but surely, you'll be a better, happier, healthier, more positive human being. And that's the big 3. Thank you guys for tuning in every week and for your submissions. Don't forget to hit the hotline, 202-670-1114. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends and enemies. Maybe we could get to 60 listeners in 100 days so you guys can hear me talk about Anchor FM again. Right now, I do not endorse them until they get me my money back. But tell your friends and enemies so we can spread the good word here and have this great show hit the masses, if you will. So thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.